The news that shook the hearts of the army came from behind the scenes of BTS. Something that has only been guessed by fans was finally revealed directly by RM, the leader who is known to be calm, honest, and wise. In an unexpected moment, RM finally spoke up about two figures who have always been a hot topic among fans, Taehyung and Jungkook. And what it reveals is not just an ordinary friendship story, but something that shows the depth of the relationship of two of BTS's youngest members who have been hidden behind their smiles and magnificent stages. RM is known as a figure who rarely talks about other members' personal affairs. But this time, in a candid interview, he seemed to pause, staring blankly into the camera before saying quietly, "There's something about Taehyung and Jungkook that maybe people don't really know yet. They take care of each other, more than just friends." Those words instantly made the atmosphere of the studio suddenly quiet. Everyone knows, RM is not the type of person who speaks without reason. He only speaks when he feels something is really important to say. And this time, his tone described a deep honesty, even a hint of restrained emotion. According to RM, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook is not just a friendship born from being together in a dorm or years of practice. They went through a lot together, even before we debuted. Taehyung always knows when Jungkook is not doing well. And Jungkook, he never let Taehyung feel alone, she said. That sentence thrilled many people, especially those who had seen how often the two laughed together in front of the camera, but did not know what was happening behind the scenes. RM even mentioned that when hard times hit BTS, when the pressure from the outside world was so great, when rumors, criticism, and mental fatigue came in droves, Taehyung and Jungkook relied on each other. They have their own language, a kind of silent understanding that doesn't need words, RM said with a slight smile. I've seen it myself. When everyone was tired and almost gave up, Taehyung just patted Jungkook on the shoulder without saying anything. But from there, Jungkook smiled again and continued to work as usual. The story may sound simple, but for those who know how tough the world of the Korean entertainment industry is, such a small act can be a lifesaver in the middle of a storm. RM knows very well how the two young people grow up under the spotlight, demanded to always be perfect, even though they are also ordinary people who have wounds, fears, and a sense of loneliness. I often think, if it wasn't for them having each other, maybe one of them would have stopped first, RM said softly. Army who heard this statement immediately flooded social media with emotional responses. Many wrote that they finally understood why Taehyung and Jungkook always seemed to have an inexplicable bond. From the trainee period until now, the two are known to have a unique dynamic. Sometimes they look like brothers and sisters who are full of laughter. Sometimes they look like two people who are silent but understand each other through their eyes. There was a moment where Jungkook looked agitated on stage, and with just one glance from Taehyung, he regained his composure. And vice versa, when Taehyung seemed demoralized, Jungkook was the first to appear backstage, patting him on the back without a word. RM also touched on how their relationship developed over time. They learned to understand differences. Jungkook is more perfectionist. Taehyung is more spontaneous and emotional. But that's exactly where they balance each other. When one is too hard on himself, the other reminds to rest. They grew up together not just as artists, but as people, she said. RM's words are not just a confession, but a picture of the maturity of two young people who bear the burden of global popularity while still keeping their hearts soft. The most touching is when RM mentions a moment that was never captured on camera. I remember, in the year that we almost broke up, everyone was crying. But Jungkook was silent, his face tense. Suddenly Taehyung approached, hugged her tightly, and whispered something. I don't know what he said, but after that Jungkook cried for the first time in front of us. That moment, according to RM, became a turning point in their relationship. Since then, the two have never really separated, although busyness and individual projects have come and gone. Now that BTS is taking an individual break and focusing on a solo career, many fans are wondering if the bond is still as strong. RM replied firmly, stronger than before. He added that although they rarely appeared together in public, communication was intense. Jungkook used to text Taehyung just to ask a simple question like, "Have you eaten yet?" And Taehyung always answers with silly emoticons. They stay the same, only more mature now. RM's statement is considered as real proof that the friendship of the two is not artificial, not just an image created for fans. They literally grew up together, supporting each other on a long, stressful journey. Behind the glitter of concerts and international awards, there are two young people who take care of each other so as not to drown in the sea of popularity. And RM, as the oldest brother in the group, watched it all up close. I'm proud of them both. He concluded the interview with a warm smile. They made me believe that sincerity can still survive in the midst of a world full of falsehoods. After the interview aired, Korean media immediately flooded the news with headlines depicting Taehyung and Jungkook's intimacy from a new angle. Many journalists wrote that RM's statement was not just nostalgia, but also an important message to the public about the meaning of true friendship amid the pressure of the entertainment world. Fans from various countries also shared their old moments with captions full of emotion, as if finding a new meaning behind each of their smiles and gazes. Now, the fact that RM revealed has opened the eyes of many people. That Taehyung and Jungkook are not just co-workers, not just two names under the giant group BTS, but two hearts that understand each other without needing to say much. And perhaps, in this increasingly noisy world, silence and understanding between them is the most sincere form of love that two true friends can have. A brotherhood that even time and distance cannot separate. After RM's shocking confession, the atmosphere of BTS's fandom seemed to turn into a sea of emotions. Armies around the world began to dig back into every little moment between Taehyung and Jungkook, from spontaneous laughs on stage to tender gazes caught on camera behind the scenes. All the pieces of that moment now feel different. There is something deeper there, something that has not been realized so far. RM seemed to open a new window, showing BTS's human, fragile, and warm side at the same time. That on a radio show a few days after the interview aired, RM again alluded to the same thing in a more reflective tone. He said that the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook has passed many tests that were never known to the public. They had a great debate, even did not speak for some time, said RM honestly. But because of that, they understand each other. A strong relationship is not born of perfection, but of the wounds they treat together. These words of RM left many people speechless. It is difficult to imagine that two figures who always seem to be in harmony have had a difficult time between them. But precisely therein lies the magic. They grow, learn, and choose to forgive each other. ARMY begins to understand that behind their laughter and jokes on the screen, there is a long struggle that not everyone knows about. Jungkook, with his perfectionist personality, often gets frustrated if things don't go according to plan.